In today's video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a cute and simple bunny cake. As you can see, I've rolled out my gum paste to about 1/8 of an inch thickness, and I'm now cutting out my gum paste ears using a template. After cutting out the shapes, you're going to dry them on parchment paper and just arrange them however you like. Once they've dried, you're going to attach a skewer to the back. But for right now, I'm just going to use a folded piece of parchment as an optional step to slide it beneath the ear at the top to give it a little bit of movement or a little curve, but that's totally optional. Also, if you would rather for your bunny to have floppy ears, you can just apply the gum paste or fondant ears while they're still soft at the time of decorating the cake. So here is an ear that has dried for about 1.5 days. I dried my ears in advance, and now I am flipping them over. They're padded by a paper towel. Because of that curve in the bunny ear, I didn't want to press down on those as I'm attaching the skewer. As I mentioned, we're working with wooden skewers. You could also use lollipop sticks if you would rather. Just shorten it to the length that works for your ear, the size ear that you're working with. You want to make sure that you have enough hanging down to make a nice anchor, and also that it goes maybe about 1/4 to halfway up and back. The glue that I'm working with is Tylose Glue, which is Tylose powder mixed with a little bit of water. But I'll also leave information about other edible glues that you could use if you don't have Tylose powder. So I'm just adding the glue to this little strip of gum paste. By the way, you could also use fondant with Tylose powder kneaded into it for the bunny ears, and it will give you something very close to gum paste. Do the same thing for the other. And while those are drying, I'm working on the bunny's head. So I'm using about 4 Rice Krispie treats. Shape it into your bunny head shape. And then I'm lightly coating it with vegetable shortening. And then I'm covering it with fondant. You could also use gum paste, but I'm using fondant in this case, rolled to about 1/4 of an inch thickness. If your bunny is too lumpy looking, just go in with another layer of fondant and it will smooth it right out. And we're just going to cut away the excess. And I'm just folding that excess underneath. So for the bunny's eyes, I'm using a piping tip 12 to cut out small black circles of fondant. And you can just attach those with a little piping gel or Tylose glue. Our bunny's nose is just a little ball of pink fondant. And I also decided to give our bunny rosy cheeks, and this is just pink petal dust applied with a dry paintbrush. Once the fondant is nice and dry on the surface, you can then go in with a food coloring pen and draw on the mouth. If you have any major mistakes with the food coloring pen, you can use a piece of paper towel that's been lightly dampened with vodka and use that as an eraser. Another option that you can do is just to very thinly roll a piece of fondant or gum paste and just use that for the mouth. And then finally, I like to add little white dots, whether I'm using a little dot of buttercream or in this case fondant, to the black eyes just to give them a little more life. I also added a little bit of pink petal dust to the ears, just applied with a dry brush as a final touch. And after attaching the skewers to the back, they dried for maybe about 30 or 45 minutes before I could pick them up. Okay, so now we are finally ready to start our cake. Our cake is a 6-inch cake layer topped with a cake that was baked in a half ball pan. and that gives us a nice little dome shape for the bunny's body. You're just going to frost that with your favorite buttercream. We used our fluffy vanilla buttercream recipe. And I went ahead and moved it to my cake plate, and then decided that I wanted to taper around the sides just a little bit. So if you'd like to do the same, you can actually just do this step in advance before adding the crumb coat. It was just kind of a last minute decision that I made. Okay, so because I exposed this new cake, I'm going back in and crumb coating those parts also. After crumb coating my cakes, I often like to freeze them for maybe about 15 minutes to firm everything up before going back in with that second coat of frosting. And it's up to you if you want sort of a fluffy textured look or if you'd like a smooth look to your buttercream. For me, I went back over my chilled cake with a heated spatula to smooth things out. I'm adding Easter grass. This is edible Easter grass that I found at Target, but you could also decorate the cake plate with other candy or buttercream grass. And then the bunny's paws are just little balls of fondant. I'm going to go ahead and add the bunny's head to the cake or to the body. And as you can see, I have little holes in the top of the head that I created with a skewer, and that's going to make it a lot easier for me to slide the ears into those spaces in just a little while. So for the bunny's paws, I have my ball of fondant, and then I just use a toothpick to create the impressions that you see. Because the foot wasn't quite fitting the way I wanted it to against the body, I actually decided to just snip away a little bit of that side of the foot, and so it just really fits in better that way. So now it's time to add the ear, just really gently, one ear at a time, and just making this hole just slightly bigger. And then you can add a little bit of Tylose glue or edible glue if you want to just secure it a little bit more, but really the Rice Krispie treat inside of the bunny's head really grabs onto the anchor. And now I'm just going to add a quick buttercream tail to the back. I've added some candy eggs and also a really cute little bow that I've attached with buttercream. Okay, so our little bunny is finished, and as you saw, it's not a difficult cake to create, so hope you'll give it a try. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.